Hello there everyone, uxwbill here once again with a video by request from a couple of different people. There are a few people who have asked for a general purpose update video about the cars that are around here. And while I have to admit that I'm not hugely fond of making general purpose update videos because I like my videos to say something and say something meaningful. I think that it's very important that the people who watch them get something valuable out of the time they've spent and that I don't come across as wasting their time. And you know, not to say that general purpose update videos are a bad thing, but I'm not hugely crazy about making them. Well, enough of that blathering. Here we have the 2012 Chevrolet Impala that my dad is driving, and it's been doing perfectly well. We have my mother's 2002 Buick Park Avenue, aka Ruby. Ruby, as you can see, has a load of recycling in her back seat. And Ruby's been running pretty well. We did have to put at least one new wheel bearing on Ruby recently because the ABS sense wire came undone, and I think we've since had another one fail. So for anyone wondering how long those cheap, I think they were AutoZone wheel bearings, happened to last from the video where they were put on, well, now you know. Then there's the Keykeeper's Mercury Grand Marquis. And this car's been doing pretty well. The only thing that happened to this car recently was an unfortunate run-in with a lawnmower at one of his co-workers' homes. Somebody was mowing the lawn, and the mower fired a rock right at the rear quarter panel on this car, right in this area. And it's since been to the body shop where Bizarre Furhead works and has been fully repaired. You wouldn't even know that it had happened. They did a top-notch job of putting the Mercury back together. The Naughtiac. Well, the Naughtiac still most definitely needs some climate control hardware. The fan controller's still out of it. But the Keykeeper has at least put a battery back in the old car. And he's been driving it around a little bit just to keep the cobwebs from getting too dense. He's kind of on again, off again about selling this car. He thinks he's going to sell it, and then he happens to drive it and he changes his mind. Now granted, he's got a few too many pieces of iron, but I really can't blame him for keeping this car because the supercharged 3800, it's a real trip to drive that car. The silver Buick is still chugging along very nicely, but you can see it's doing very well at what cars here in the Midwest do, unfortunately, and that is rusting. But Bizarre Furhead still drives this car 2 or 3 times a week, both to his work and his college. And I think I'm telling you right when I say it's got 530,000 miles and 5/10 on it. Ranger Danger was doing pretty well. Although when my dad bought this truck, the woman who owned it, I might have mentioned this in the video introducing this truck, though it's never had a proper driving video made of it, and I should probably take care of that at some point. The woman who owned this truck decided to sell it because one day it started making a horrific clattering noise from the engine. And it turns out it's some kind of valve noise, but it comes and it goes. There are times when this little truck just runs absolutely perfectly. It has since had at least a couple of new spark plugs put in it, and I don't know if it's got new wires yet, but it could definitely use them. Unfortunately, the clattering recently arose once again with a vengeance, which is really too bad. We need to take a look at what's going on with the engine on this truck, because otherwise it's a very nice truck. The air conditioning still blows ice cold. The radio doesn't work, but the four-wheel drive works perfectly. It's got a locking rear differential in it according to the factory build sheet, and although it's woefully underpowered with the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder engine that it's got in it, it still tries pretty hard, and it would probably do better if it had the benefit of a tune-up. And then over here we have some yard art. This is the 1984 GMC Sierra, which needs badly to be cleaned out and sorted through, probably moved as well, because it's starting to sink into the ground a little bit. There's a Hornet. I don't think I want to get on the wrong side of that thing. Ooh, sweat bee. But this poor old truck needs an alternator, needs some work on the fuel injection pump, and also needs a fuel shutoff solenoid. Let's see what's in the garage here. Got some garage art here in the form of Furhead's 98 Jeep Wrangler. This thing is a major work in progress. He's still working on getting a transmission for it. You can see the old transmission as well as the transfer case bolted up to it sitting right there. He's hoping to have that done in the next few weeks. He uncovered some frame damage on the Jeep and has been working on putting that right. And of course he's got most all of the interior out of it at present to clean out all of the mud and water soaked stuff. Then there's the wagon. And who doesn't love a good station wagon? This thing has been doing pretty well. I've had to do some work on this thing recently. As you can see, I've been picking up some computers and other stuff. There will definitely be a video about those things in the future. Had to put a water pump on this car, and it's probably gotten to the point where it could use some tires. I've presently got the spare tire on the back of it because one of the tires, this one as a matter of fact, had a very slow leak in it, and the Keykeeper had patched it, but the patch had failed and it was too close to the sidewall for comfort, so at some point I'll be buying a new set of tires for this car. Probably need to do all four of them because one of them in the front is a little bit thin on tread, but it's still running and driving quite nicely. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this garage. It could be much more cleaned up than it is. But you do have to give us a little bit of credit because this thing is designed to hold 4 cars. And we not only have 4 cars in here, but also the International Harvester Super C tractor as well. So go ahead and turn the light on over here because this camcorder does very poorly in low light conditions. And you can see that the Keykeeper's pickup truck project, the even bigger green piece of junk, which he has shot some video about, but I don't know the current status of it or anything along those lines. I'll go ahead and kick on the video light on this camcorder, but that's a little like a little like a fart in a whirlwind. It's not very helpful in this darkness over here. But you can see that the 6.5 liter turbo diesel engine in this thing is starting to look a little bit like an engine again. He's got the cylinder heads back in place. Still got to put the intake on it, got to put the fuel system plumbing back in place, but he's wanting to have this thing going in a couple months' time, and if he keeps up with his current rate of progress, I think he will. He also wants to have the radiator properly cleaned out. And then, of course, there is the Cadillac, which is presently acting as a shelf system, though it did get a little bit of cleaning off recently. And it's still just resting quietly, and is likely to continue resting quietly for some time to come. And you can see that although it's not vehicle related, there's another refrigerator that's shown up around here. This is something that was liberated from one of the farmhouses, which is being renovated. This thing was going to be scrapped out because my late uncle had passed away and left a bunch of rotten meat in it, and it really stunk to high heaven. But Bizarre Furhead and I decided to rescue it after we were told that the people who are going to be moving in there didn't want it and planned to junk it. So we hauled it out of there. The door fell off. The refrigerator compartment door fell off when we were moving it. I might make a video about how I fixed that sometime. But I just buzzed this thing down to the car wash, hosed it out real good, cleaned it up. And as you can see, it's working very nicely. Still got a little bit of a smell to it, but you know, that's what baking soda is for. So there you have a general purpose update video on the various vehicles here at Walsh Motors. I just realized I hadn't said anything about my pickup truck. So before I go ahead and end this, admittedly very rambling video, I guess I should go out there and do that. Furhead's got himself a new welder. He upgraded from his Hazard Freight one. At some point, maybe he'll make a video about that. I'll go over here and take a look at my truck. Not much to tell about this. Got a tree branch that's in need of some doctoring, but the Keykeeper's around here someplace. He's been working on cleaning up the yard a little bit over here at the Roach Palace. Not much to say about this truck. Getting around 16 miles to the gallon with it, United States gallon, of course. And really pretty happy with it. It rides rather firmly. It has, I think it's RPO code Z85, the solid smooth ride suspension. And it's definitely not as plush as my station wagon. But you really can't blame it. I mean, it's a pickup truck. It's not going to ride like a road sofa would. And when I want that, I've got the station wagon. So I've been pretty happy with that so far. Been running well. Just changed the oil in it for the first time about 1,000 miles ago. Ran it for about a 6,000 mile oil change interval. I discovered that even though this thing has the basic information center, which doesn't have the functionality that's provided through a set of steering wheel buttons, that apparently it does have an oil life indicator on it, as I reset it quite accidentally by sitting in a parking lot one day and playing with the accelerator pedal while the truck was shut off. All of a sudden the instrument panel lights up and says, "Oil life reset." And I was like, wow. The owner's manual doesn't tell you specifically what indicators you do and don't get when you don't have the fully functional driver information center. But yeah, I've been pretty happy with this. And the 4.8 liter V8 engine, although it's the smallest of the bunch, and I don't think General Motors is using it in the 2014 model year pickup trucks, it's got more than enough oomph for me. I am very, very happy with this truck so far, and hopefully I will have it for many years to come. It did finally crest 100,000 miles in recent times, but unfortunately I was running late for a computer job when it did, and I didn't have a camcorder handy at the time to capture the moment. Well, that's about everything I can think to say. Thank you for watching this video. It's run out to 11 minutes and 40 seconds so far, and I think that's plenty long enough, so I'd probably better go ahead and shut the camcorder off. Leave a comment if you have one.